All right. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. I feel so amateur at this. I have not been doing this in a while. Much most of this year, actually, except for like random game streams. So I'm like triple checking everything, make sure I actually set it up correctly. Hopefully my audio's coming through. It seems like it. Man, well, hey everyone. Been a hell of a year. Hope it's been good for everyone else. I wouldn't say it's been bad for me. Just not the year I'd rather be having. And granted, got a new home, new house. That's been great. Just everything else, work. I've kind of hinted that a little bit. This work has been a real kick in the teeth, and it's been hard staying engaged here on YouTube. I was trying to do like a programming series of videos, all sequential, so you couldn't afford to miss one of them. But I want to make videos that were very small and bite-sized for, learning. That's how people learn. Usually that's how they learn the best, is just keep it small. And yeah, I got dealt some YouTube takedowns, promoting violence, stuff like that. Clearly the bots are still running amok and just flagging videos. And I got one. Well, one was for copyrighted material, which I have no idea what they're talking about when I was talking about Python code. So that was the first one. And the appeal, I won the appeal pretty quickly. And then a second one got hit. And then I just really lost my steam to make any more. And it's such a poorly moderated platform. And I saw other creators out there who do tech videos, and they were getting, strikes and takedowns because of bots, because of certain keywords they said in the video. And it's really demotivating. So I kind of just was like at the point, like, you know what? Tutorial videos, they take effort to write, to plan. Even if they're 10 minutes long, it's good. I don't know, an hour to prepare for it, another hour to record it, re-record it, get takes, 30 minutes or so of editing, thumbnail, upload. Where's the motivation if just some random YouTube bot takes it down? It's really quite pathetic. At work, I deployed an AI bot at work, and I took it down because I recognized it was incorrect. Now, it wasn't striking any channels. It was a completely internal thing. I wrote it for the support desk team to help them answer common questions, direct people in the right direction. And I would say 30 to 40% of the time, it was really accurate. Other 30% of the time, 50-50. And then the remaining time, it was just, like, I don't know where it got that information. And, I pride myself on quality, right? If this is going to be communicating with people like a person, I'm going to hold it to the same level of accountability for its quality, right? I wouldn't accept that out of any of my employees or any of my contractors. And so this bot at work, the CTO raved about it because he saw a few examples that showed potential where it really did a good job, which is cool. But I also saw the problems. And so I took the bot down because I saw where it was doing potential harm. All right, I try to have integrity with my work, not to be like, I just did this thing, it's AI and it's cool, right? I did this thing and it's AI and it did some stuff that was kind of effective, but it was messing up other places. So it's offline right now until we can review it and understand why. I swear to God, YouTube does not do that. they write these AI moderation bots, put them out there, and they just let them F up people's channels left and right. And it's like, oh, well, and it's just annoying. It's like just a complete lack of accountability. If I was a C2 of YouTube, I would just be like chewing ass left and right. Like, why are your bots taking down, false flagging all these channels? I mean, I wouldn't accept one ticket that my bot responded to inaccurately. Like, I really kind of hold like the automations to work at like 100% success rate. And I swear YouTube's is like running at maybe 20, 30%. I'm just making numbers up, right? But I definitely think there's a problem on this platform with the AI moderation. So I figure if I'm just going to do anything, it's just going to be streams, because there are people that put a lot of effort into their streams. They definitely write scripts, they get content and visuals ready and all that, and they make it very entertaining for their viewers. But, let's be honest, a lot of streamer content is just low effort. It's just people sitting behind a camera on a mic, blabbing their opinions, and then getting mad about what opinions that other streamers have and farming that for content. And it's just mindless. It's just trash content. When I started the program tutorials, a lot of that was kind of my way of dealing with like the trolls of YouTube. I found one great way to deal with YouTube trolls is to do content that they don't understand. Programming, math, if you're not trashing on another creator, these trolls don't know how to understand how to process what you're telling them. So they go to another video. Hey, Mars Monkey, how you doing? So that's what I was liking my doing some of the programming, the tech stuff, because I just knew people wouldn't know where to go with that. Even if my code was bad, most of them don't have the experience or the knowledge to be able to say otherwise. So for me, that was like a fun way of doing content. But yeah, then dealing with the YouTube moderation bots is just frustrating. It's like, dude, how can a 10-minute video on tutorial be flagged? A 10-minute tutorial video on a programming language be flagged for copyright or for hate speech, both of which did happen. And even though things get overturned, the fact I actually have to submit these cases is just irritating. So I figure I will just if YouTube doesn't want to put any good effort into their moderation, into their bots, and their QC checking, into holding their programmers accountable, I'm just not going to put big effort into my content. So I will create content. It'll just be streams. I'm just going to turn on the camera. I'm not going to write a script. So I'm going to babble. I'm going to stutter. I'm going to repeat myself. And I'm going to put a little effort into it. So a light, camera, microphone, and then whatever I show you. And then when I'm done, I hit end stream and there's the video. That's it. That's the extent of my effort that I'm willing to put into channels on this platform, because it's just frustrating. So anyways, I got a few viewers on. I guess I'll talk about what I've been doing, right? So work has been pretty brutal. I think one thing in the remote world is people really forget how structure works in a company. Oh, not the Nightbot, Fadian. I tried the Nightbot once. No, YouTube's moderation bot. So the bot I made was a bot that ran at work. That's internal. You never saw that publicly. That was an internal thing. But YouTube has an AI moderation bot that has just been nuking channels left and right. Anyways, yeah, work has been pretty brutal. I still believe, in being a remote worker. I think it's best for me. I think what's tough is people in the remote world, I think, have forgotten what structure is in a company. They don't know how to communicate with their colleagues. So like whenever they have anything, they're not getting what they want, they go right to directors and VPs and complain. And I never saw that stuff when I worked in an office, right? Everyone knew it's like, you're not going to walk in that VP's office and because that VP is in charge of, say, support desk, right? Because one of the teams I manage is a support desk. I manage 3 teams right now. And if people don't like how fast support desk is moving, they don't even go to me. They don't even go to the director. They're going like to the CTO because they can just send them a message on Slack. And, you know, back in the days of working on site, like people didn't do that. They seem to understand structure in the office. You deal with a person directly, and you don't walk into a VP's office. And I just think in the remote world, people don't have that respect. Also is people trying to pawn off their work. You know, they always talk about delegating work out, right? As a manager, I delegate all the time. But the thing is, you have to have people under you to delegate. And what I'm seeing in the remote world is people think everyone's underneath them. So they're trying to put their work on other people that are in other departments. And I'm spending a lot of my time at work fighting this because my guys are like, hey, why is this task being assigned to me? This isn't my department. Like, I may know what to do, but this is not my responsibility. And, you know, I go to the VP of the person that did it, and they're like, oh, they're delegating. I was like, yeah, that's not how delegation works. Holy shit, do you need a dictionary? That's not delegation. That's avoiding responsibility. And so I am exhausting a lot of myself at work and dealing with that nonsense. And so it's been some burnout dealing with that. Now, when I get really mad though at work, I've definitely been seeing some of my colleagues rage quitting, and I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought about it at least once a week. But I have a tendency to channel my frustration differently. You know, they say don't quit without a plan, a backup, and that's reasonable. So what I've been doing lately is I've been trying to make a plan, backup, which I've been trying to build my own thing. And so whenever I get really pissed off at work and I think about quitting, I pull up my notebooks of all these ideas I've had over the years, and I've started building apps. And now with AI, like I don't have to be the programmer who writes every single function anymore, because otherwise it would take me 1 or 2 years to build every single app, and I don't have the years left in my life for that. And AI for me has been an effective tool where I'm the architect, I'm the designer. I know how I want everything built. And so I've had these designs for a long time, these ideas, and it's like, okay, well now I can, if I wanted to build them 5 years ago, I would have to get startup funding, rent a building, hire some programmers, get them some MacBooks, put them in an office, you know, and have stand-ups every morning and meetings. And hopefully 2 of them aren't trying to sleep with each other. I hate to say it, but that's almost kind of the motivation to maybe like to hire like all men. Because the moment you get a woman in the office, you always get that one horny bastard who just won't do his damn job. And that's that's one thing I do love about remote work. I have not once, since I started as a remote worker, dealt with inner office dating drama. Anyways, so I'd have to do all this stuff. Probably get a project manager, have stamps every morning, set up sprints, have people debate with me on how to do things, which, you know, it's good to have debates, but I know how I want things built. I want people just to do what I tell them. And it's one if you do it incorrectly and I have to like say, no, this is the best way to do it. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll learn. That's fine. But the challenges in programming with programmers, you get people, they are really smart, but then they just decide that you're stupid and they're going to do it their way. And I've dealt with this a lot over the years. And so you'll think, well, this guy's a senior. I won't micromanage him. I'll just task him like, hey, there's this thing. Here's the design. This is the input. This is the output that I need. Do this, right? And then he just decides, well, it's stupid. I'm going to do it my way. And then you don't micromanage him. You let him work for a month or two, really grind away. And he gives you high-level updates, which he kind of lies to you about. And then come to find out he did things his way. And he's kind of like, screw you. I didn't agree with you. And he quits, right? And you're just like, fuck, now I have all this code I can't work with. And I hate to say it, but AI, I don't have to deal with that. Granted, sometimes an AI agent won't code it correctly. I can chew it out. I can call it all sorts of names, and I don't have to worry about getting reported to HR for it. But I can really just work as the grand architect. And Yes, and NDAs, dude. Yeah, the thing is about NDA, you have to have the money to enforce an NDA. When I worked in startups, I've actually witnessed CEOs and COOs in these startup companies where they were poaching someone else's like lead engineer and stealing their idea. And the guy's like, then one CEO's like, I'm going to sue you. And the other ones respond to with, go ahead and try because we know you're going bankrupt. Like, you have to have money to sue. You can't afford a lawyer. So you can have these contracts, but if you can't afford the lawyer to enforce it, then what's the point, right? Yeah, so NDAs are pointless. Like, Disney has, they have their own internal lawyer division and their external lawyers and endless money, so they can enforce their NDAs, as questionable as they might be, to no end. But me as an independent developer with a limited budget, no. Someone could outright steal my work, even my copyrights, trademarks. It all kind of means nothing if you can't afford the lawyers to enforce it. So, yeah, I really didn't want to deal with any of that garbage. So, yeah, and then, workforce legal representation. There's a lot when we want to start a company. And so with the AI growing to what it is this past, year, it's really gotten capable for coding. I've really just doubled down. I was like, okay, I can actually have my company really a one-person company. That's me. No one's going to debate me. And I will say AI will actually debate me. When I give instructions, design, and maybe it's something that I don't know a lot about, like I know it conceptually. I will say the AI agents, because I actually challenge the AI agents too, is like, this is the idea I had, and I give them permission to actually challenge me back with better concepts. And so it actually does they will come back with like, oh, I see what you're trying to do, but there's going to be a caching issue and, frame rate and all this and that. This is a better way to do it. And it's like, oh, hey, these are the conversations I want to have. This is the kind of debates I want to have to be productive. So I've gotten to work heavily on building my app. So every time my job pissed me off, I'm just like, I'm going to quit right on Friday. Instead of quitting, I take Friday night, I go watch a movie, have a drink, and then I'll sit down the weekend and I'll start drafting my plan. I get to work. And then I'll spend, the next weeks, a couple months building an app and getting the app store. And that's kind of my motivation. And then my job pisses me off again, so I build another app. And they piss me off again, and I build another app. But I've been using this to channel my frustration, and in hopes that one of them actually starts doing reasonably well. All right, and then it could potentially be my escape, my plan B. If I actually have some income coming in, I can actually build something and then comfortably quit. So I'm just not rage quitting. I'm actually quitting with a plan. So that's one of the reasons I have not been around here very much. Like I get off work and I'm here working like crazy. I mean, you see all my guitars. I barely get a chance to play those. It's constant. I'm usually in bed by 1, 2 a.m., getting up 5:30, 6 a.m. That's Monday through Friday for me. So, yeah, really not a lot of room there for YouTube or really even random streaming. I've done a few video game streams as you've all seen, but I've had a lot going on, and I was going to talk about some of what I've been doing tonight and share that with you. I'll catch up on comments. It's crazy that companies put out job postings asking for people with bachelor's and master's for entry-level positions. Yeah. Well, what they're doing is they're also putting out, they've been doing this for years. Like a new programming language will come out and they'll put out posts like must have 6 years experience, production experience with a language that's 6 months old, right? And that's the other thing, Mars, is I don't think I have it in me to go through another job search, the interview process. And I am just emotionally burned out. I don't know if I can deal with corporate interview bullshit. So I feel like this is my one opportunity is to build something. It's got to be for me. So yeah, I was kind of here to kind of share what I've been doing. So what I've been doing is started with just apps on. You've shared something in the past, Mars Monkey. Yeah, there was actually a meme about contract agencies. What was it? A company will ignore your good ideas, and 6 months later, they'll pay a contractor or a consultant $500K to tell them the exact same thing. That's something I saw on a T-shirt, and I shared it with some friends, and like everyone's like, "Oh my god, that hits too close to home." I mastered the interview, but I don't give a shit now. Yeah, like I know how to answer. I just don't have the patience for their nonsense, their games. Like if it's a real, I think real interview, real conversation. Like I'm interviewing for a position right now as the manager. I'm the hiring manager. And what people have told HR is they really appreciate when they talk to me. They, even though they know I have a script, they feel like they're talking to a person. That's probably the best compliment I've gotten in a long time. So, yeah, what I've been building, mostly iOS apps. I'm as a mostly Apple user. A couple of Windows desktop apps. Nothing on Android. Sorry, I don't have an Android to test with. We do have desktop simulators for Android. And I did port one of my apps to Android and tried to run it in the simulator, but it ran like crap. So until I actually have like an Android to work with, I'm not developing for Android. But that's where it's at. So you got the skills. I think you're in a good place to develop a hit with the app building. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, Fadian. I think that's what this is the best opportunity for me right now. You know, with AI, like I said, I don't need a company. I don't need to hire employees. I don't need investors telling me how to do things. I can just, if I'm not successful, it's because I didn't build good apps, and that's my fault. But you know, if I'm successful, I get to own it. No one else can claim that other than me. I'm trapped in a decision of what direction to pivot with AI. Python DB stuff just feels like it's not going to cut it much longer. You know, I see a lot of people, Apple juice, on social media, programmers saying how they hate AI code because they love writing code. It's like art to them. And like, hey, I'm gonna have to switch careers because I just believe code should be manual. And you know what? That's fine. Like, I'm not going to tell them they're wrong. People are going to feel what they're going to feel. And I've been very honest about this. I've always hated writing code. I've never sat down and be like, yay, I'm going to write a function. Yay, I'm going to write a loop. Yay, I'm going to write another try except. Yay, I'm going to write another Python decorator. I've never liked doing that. The only thing I've ever enjoyed doing, I like being an inventor. I like solving a problem, getting to the end. And really a lot of software engineers I met don't like, well, not that they don't like, they only like their little part, which is fine. They're like, yeah, I just write this little function, or I do these hooks, or you know, with this service over here, and that's my whole world. That's fine. That is not me. I'm an inventor. I have ideas. So I don't want to work on one little thing. I want to create and deliver an entire thing. And that's how I am. So I think, I don't know you personally, Apple Juice, but for me, that's why I don't really care about learning code anymore. I only learn code to just do jobs and get paid. I never learned it for fun. Same, I'm a troubleshooter and problem solver. Yep. Making it happy to customize iPhone keyboard. There's actually a few iPhone keyboard apps out there. I haven't done anything like that though, Lamppost. Thanks for stopping in. There is money though. From what I read, there's more money in utility apps than there's game apps, which that's probably where I've gone wrong because I've done a couple game apps, which I'm going to show you. And I got a third one I'm working on, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. So let me just start with the first one I did. Let me fire it up here. Let me get everything going. Give me just a second. So this is kind of a new thing that I'm doing. I haven't done this before, which is casting the video into my Rodecaster from my smartphone. Let's hope this works. All right. All right, there we go. Hopefully you hear it. Let me make sure the music's down enough. Talk about this. So I start with iOS apps. simple. I thought I'd just do iOS apps. I'm not going to do anything big. Just trying to get used to the workflow. So I've started with some of these. This is one right here. This is one I've had an idea for a long time called Arcglow, arcade style. It's got 10 difficulty tiers, and I want to preface this that so far all my apps have a free and a paid tier, but they do not have subscription. Even the free tier is 0 ads. So like this one, you can play the first 3 tiers for both Orbit and Pendulum, which I'll demonstrate in a second, for free without ads for how long you want. One reason I started building my apps the way it is because I have got quite a few apps that I have paid for because I like supporting the developers, right? And they're like, hey, pay for our app and, unlock the ads. Well, what they don't tell you is it unlocks the third-party ads, not the in-app ads for in-app purchases. And there's one app that I really liked. It was this rope puzzle app. You get these like ropes in a knot. They're all in a knot, and you have to you get a timer. You have to figure out the knot and undo it, right? A lot of fun. Except every time I launch the app, I have to go through 6 to 8 internal ads to play a level. And it is freaking infuriating. After I paid for an app, you should never have to deal with that. Right now, I'm not doing any subscriptions at all. I think subscriptions are being abused heavily. Now, my day job, we have a finance app. It uses a heavy infrastructure in the back end. I understand why there's a subscription, because I understand the monthly cost to maintain something like that. What I'm building runs on your device. There is no monthly cost. I have seen stuff as simple as a guitar tuner. People are charging $100 a year for subscription for a guitar tuner. An app that has a guitar tuner, it also has a list of guitar chords. It's not like guitar chords change. All guitar chords have been discovered. Why would you pay $100 a year for that? So people have gone overboard with subscriptions. So this is also me kind of flipping the finger at where I think a lot of app developers have been going off the rails, charging hefty subscription prices for an app that is just not justified, in my opinion. I'm going to check comments here. Yeah, I'm thinking going to cybersecurity. There's still, Apple Juice, CyberSec, there's a lot of work there. If you get in, you can't go wrong for that. I've got a lot of friends in cyber. I work closely with our cybersecurity. So yeah, Arcglow is my little game. So I'll play a simple level here for you all. I'll try like the harder level. So you just tap the screen and it rotates on it locks in the blue, and basically it switches back and forth. And you need to make it through the gates, because if you don't, let me skip a gate. All right, the void starts to chase you. And if the void catches you, all right, you got to start over. So as you go up in levels, it keeps adding a gate, and it incrementally gets a little bit faster. The spin gets faster, the void gets a little bit faster, everything gets a little bit faster. The obstacles slowly the ones that move get faster, everything. So it slowly ramps up. Now, there's unlimited levels to this game. So when you get to 25, what you do is you unlock the ability. After you beat the 25th level, is you unlock a feature where you can set the number of gates that you... for each time. So you can set your gates to 300 if you want to make it more challenging. And it's infinite. So it's all procedural. So all the levels are all built with math. So you have really infinite levels. Now, if I go to tier 10, there's a lot of obstacles. And there's also power-up and debuffs that happen. The gates are closing a little bit tighter. All right. Right there, like that. I get a debuff right there, nails the gates. Oops. And that one changed my direction. Oops. Can I get through there? Ah. Of course, this is a tougher one. I'm trying to look through my microphone and do this. But yeah, this is tier 10, level 6. Definitely a lot harder. get around that. So almost like Space Invaders, that's a lot of my inspiration there, Mars, when I made this. Yeah, looking back to a lot of the games, the old 2D games that really just had me sitting there for hours as a kid. And so, yeah, this is definitely challenge. See if I can squeeze that gate. Ah, dang it. So, yeah, it's definitely a big challenge. Now, the tougher mode is Pendulum, which changes the dynamics. I'm going to go to a easier tier. This one is actually really hard. All right. The whole swing dynamics, it's much more difficult. So let's get through a pretty basic level here. Let's see, got 5, 6. So you get the idea, right? This one's pretty basic, but let me screw this up. There we go. Up, lost it right at the end. Now, if I try to do tier 10, you can imagine this is a kick in the teeth. So gate jitter. So yeah, the gates are going to jitter around. They're going to be even harder to get through. This has a debuff where it that area, it lengthens the tether, makes it really hard to get through. I might actually have to go around this, and I'm going to, it's tough. It is definitely a tougher game. So that's Arcglow. That's the first one I built. I wanted a fun little arcade style game. That's something I've been designing for a long time. Also was the soundtrack, making the soundtrack for it. So something fun to listen to. I'm working on a fitness workout app because I don't like it in the market. Gonna see if I can put that in the market soon. Dude, that's awesome, Apple Juice. That's really awesome. Do it. That's some of my motivations. Some of the apps I've been building is I see a lot of apps that are like 50% of what I want. But I felt they're just missing the mark, so I started making my own. And I'll try to get to show you one of them here in a bit. But one's a music app that's actually I've been selling a little bit of. So that's Arcglow. Next game I'm gonna bring up for y'all and show you here in a second is kind of a more puzzle patterns kind of game. Not as difficult. This is a game for me. It's called Loomstone. That's just about finding patterns. It's got a couple levels, so let's just do a loop. We'll go 8x8 grid. And it's got some difficulty. So I play at Master, but it's got Novice, Adept, Artisan, and Master. And what it is Novice allows you a lot of turns, a lot of mistakes. And Master, you have no room for mistakes, which I'll demonstrate. So this is the kind of game I like because there's no timer. Right, so I'll do this just casually, sitting at the restaurant, sitting at the bar, just kind of eating. If a waitress walks up, asks me, "Do you want something?" I can just answer. And what I do is I solve patterns, right? So you see, it's counting down. It says 24 left. So I have to get the right turns. Turns clockwise by default. If I press and hold, it goes counterclockwise. So something like this. Did I go wrong on this one? I might have actually messed this up. Yeah, no, actually, I think that's a sub pattern right there, sub loop. I think this is actually fine. I might actually be able to get this one. So this is the loop mode. And it's totally casual. You can just pause it, come back later. Again, this is all procedural, so they're unlimited. I wouldn't say unlimited. I think it's like when you get up to the 6x6 or 8x8 and it goes up to 12x12 grids, the combinations are like in the 100,000s up to the millions. So by the time you hit a repetitive pattern, I highly doubt you're going to be able to recognize it. So 6 moves. Can I solve this in 6 moves? I think so. I think this one. Okay, so I got a lot of intersecting loops here. There we go. Solved. So, and the easier modes give you more moves. So if you're like, oh, I didn't rotate the right way, they give you more moves. I usually play in Master. I don't want to be very forgiving. Path is, you have endpoints. So instead of solving a loop, you're solving a path. Loom is a combination of them. So you'll get a mix of paths and loops intersecting each other. This is what I usually play in 12 by 12 loom. And I won't, you have to sit here and watch me because these will take 3, 5, 6 minutes. I might screw it up, have to do it again. So maybe it takes 10 minutes. I can tell it's going to take 83 moves to solve. Now, this one is not very stressful. I've never met one I couldn't solve. Did I have to do it again 2 or 3, 4 times? Sure. That's happened. But for me, it's a really relaxing game. Ascent actually is an interesting one. So this one is actually timed. So I'm going to go to something that's simple. All right. So what it is, you got a timer. And there's a formula that will kind of determine the reasonable amount of time to be able to do this in. And you're not dinged on the amount of turns. And so when you hit ascend further, the patterns get more difficult. And the timer adjusts based on the complexity. So this one can get a little more tense, to be honest. So these are a couple of the games that I have made. I have a third game I am working on. That one's actually a real kick in the teeth. I'm as far as like being able to solve it. It is all procedurally built, so every single puzzle can be solved. When it's ready, I'll show it, but it is much harder. Think of it like a 2D Rubik's Cube. You know, you move one thing and other elements move, but it's in a 2D layout. My wife, who loves Rubik's Cubes, and she solves them all the time, she loves the game, but it kicks her ass a little bit. So I'm just working through the mechanics, the gameplay, because I want people to feel like they're always being challenged, but not to the point where they're like, okay, screw this game, it's too damn hard. So I'm still working through that one. And I think when that's ready, hopefully the next couple of weeks, I can actually show that one. So for both of these, I've actually put links in the description. If you have an iPhone or iPad, I've actually put links in the description, not for the app, but a coupon to get the app, the full thing for free. So it's a special I'm doing for those of you out there watching. You can follow links in the description and go claim the coupon and get the app for free, even though it's only $2.99. It's probably fun to kind of promote it, put it out there for everyone. If you get your fitness app out, Apple Juice, I would love to actually see it. I mean, I'm not obviously an athlete, but I definitely appreciate I encourage independent development. In the same ways I encourage independent artists, musicians, people that want to work outside and do their own thing. I love seeing when people build. So, are you using React? Nope, it's all Swift. So, yeah, these are all Swift. All my iPhone apps are. We use React at work. I don't know React well, but man, I hear a lot of what I hear at work. I don't know if I want to mess with React. So that's the first couple apps. So the third app that I actually did on the iPhone and iPad, but I am porting it to Windows. So I did an iPhone, iPad, and a Mac desktop version. And I was showing on another channel I have And people were like, I would really love that on Windows. And that's actually been the app I've been selling the most. So give me a second here to set up. See studio mode, flip over. So the other stuff I've been doing has been music apps. The one app I didn't show off. I did a little guitar tuner app. Actually, that was the very first app I did, and it's a guitar tuner app that's got a lot of different themes. So a lot of guitar tuner apps have the same look. I've got like 40 some odd themes you can pick from. It's just a fun thing, but not nothing I take super serious. So let me hide this. Give me a second here. I had the app open. Don't you hate when that happens? Well, probably not you guys, but. Oh, give me a moment. OBS is really being kind of a bitch. Dare I say. Okay, it's getting there. It's getting there. Cool. So I think that's set up correctly. Okay, I think we're actually good to probably bring this over. All right, hope this is coming through. Check on the YouTube. Hey, Tina. All right. All right, there it goes. I was just waiting for the stream to update to make sure the app was coming through correctly. I'll make sure the scales correctly on this app. So what you're saying about like you don't like how apps are Apple Juice? I kind of the same way around some music apps I got. Actually, this has got some scaling issues that kind of pissing me off. Hold on a second. It's cutting off and not displaying correctly. Oh, there we go. All right. So I'm probably one of the worst guitarists ever. But I love my guitars. I love trying to play stuff. I don't play any full songs. I just play licks. One thing I do in guitar is there's something called spider exercises. It's a coordination exercise. A lot of instructors tell the people they should do. All right, make sure this is up. Turn on desktop audio, make sure that comes through. So you'll find on YouTube a lot of people talk about they'll show how to do spider exercises, and they'll say you play along with a metronome. And I was like, okay, and I was playing along with the metronome. I was like, am I really doing good though, right? And when I realized there wasn't an app out there that allowed me to practice spider exercises as far as like grading me and showing me my progress. So let me first make sure the guitar is being picked up and it's way out of tune. So this was probably my bigger project on an iPhone, an iPad. Turned into quite a bit of work. But I've gotten some pretty good responses from a lot of avid guitarists like me. Let me get her all tuned up here. I'll show you what she does. I was semi-ready for this stream. I've been wanting to do the stream for a little while. Just had a lot going on. Kind of just share, what I've been doing. So I'll get her tuned up here. Oh, computer's expensive. Yes. Yes, they are. I'm not going to upgrade. All right. So, for those of you that are musicians, guitarists, what I have here is a library of exercises, various difficulty levels. And so what you can do, and I also track progress. You see, I haven't actually been playing the past week, actually past 2 weeks. I've been so busy. What you can do is do lessons. So you set up your duration, like starting fret, everything else. Now, this is running on Windows. What you see is running on Windows right now. This is the Windows port, which I finished a month ago because I had a lot of feedback from people that were like, I love this. When can it go on Windows? This is huge. And then the big thing that I did was I added an option for grading. It grades timing and note accuracy. So I will actually run through a little session right now. Give me an idea. 2, 3, 4. And so you're seeing little glyphs come up on the screen. And those are accuracy glyphs. So if I start, actually you'll see me at some point right there. My timing's off. It's going to show me. Now this is a basic spider walk. There are much more complex ones that you can do. I'm going to pause too. And I did some things too, like you can actually switch the type of view that you want. So you could use a tabbed view if you prefer that. If you can read notation, you can read a notation view as well. Now, this one took me a while to get. This is where AI was really useful. So there's a lot when you have the software examining or grading the audio data coming in, you have a lot of harmonics, subharmonics that can throw false positives, false negatives on notes. And so what I was having to do for kind of hours was I set up a system where I would sit here with the different guitars on different keys and play over and over again and have the AI scan the data that was coming in to determine what was a subharmonic and what was a valid note so it could grade correctly and accurately. If I had to do this by hand, like record all audio data to like a text file and just read all the harmonic metadata, this would have taken me like 2 years to fine tune. All right. And at the end, it gives me a report. You get a heat map, it gives me my accuracy, what else perfect, on time, early, late, missed, everything. And done. And so you can bring up your BPM. You can change a lot of things, create presets. You can build out progressions. So you see I had some triads here I was working on where you can create, you add some exercises. And what you do is you set the starting BPM to work at, the starting duration, and the target that you're going to work towards, like the end BPM and end duration and the step. So this increments by 5, increments by 30. And so you can slowly build up over time. And not only can you turn on the accuracy grading, you can actually turn on minimum accuracy. And what that means is you can say, hey, do not let me advance unless I get 85% or better average. And that's what this is for. And so I actually use this more on my Mac, honestly. I did the Windows port because a lot of people were asking for this. But yeah, the time I spent really just sitting down, just playing and playing and playing and playing and playing, just to work through the accuracy challenges. Because when you're playing, you have all these little subharmonics from the other strings, and especially if I have like a couple hollow body guitars, so you get these extra vibrations coming through. And the software needs to kind of figure out like what am I grading, what am I ignoring, right? And AI was really good for examining, analyzing that data. So I do a lot of sessions where I'm like, hey, I did a 1 minute session. And there's some integrity involved. Like the AI had to trust that I was telling you the truth. So I was like, all right, so I just recorded a 1 minute session, and I just recorded, I didn't miss a single note. Maybe the timing wasn't perfect, right? But I did play every note accurately. And so the AI would be like, okay, I trust you're not BSing me. And it would go through it. It would spend 10 or 15 minutes analyzing, thousands of lines of subharmonic data. And that, my friends, is where AI is really handy. Because if I had to do this by hand, God, or I'm hiring people to do it and I got to trust other people, like it would just been maddening to try to do this 3 or 4 years ago. And I had this idea a long time ago. Because I do have, you mentioned melodics. Yeah, I do have like other music apps that when you play along with the song and it grades you. And that was really great. And I still use those. Like the Gibson app has been great, actually. I love it. But I was like, man, there's not an app. And this is a free version. So you get some, you can use all the beginner exercises for free. You can go up to 100 BPM and you can do as many as you want. All the other advanced ones here, intermediate and advanced, that's part of the paid, but it's a one-time purchase. Like I said, I didn't want a subscription for this. I wanted to build an app, build it well, so it's not buggy, right? Get it stable, get it reliable, that it does one thing very well, and put it out there. And if people want to pay me for it, they pay me one time and they use it forever. And it's part of my whole thing I've been doing, which is like apps with ethics, if you want to put it that way. Like I don't have any ads, no surprises. I just want to build honest products for people that want to use it, that people really need. And this one, I was doing this on my other channel where I do more kind of music stuff. And a lot of people were like, holy shit, like this doesn't exist anywhere else. Where can I get this? And this is awesome. And yeah, I'm actually getting small amount of sales, not enough to quit my job. But Molex is good. Yeah. I mean, I have Molex. I have an electronic drum kit back here. Terrible at it. Absolutely terrible at it. But drums is really great for burning off steam. I got a practice pad right behind me. When I get really frustrated in meetings, Mars will turn on, just bang on my practice pad, working my triplets, So this is one of the big apps that I've been working on that I got out there now. And this is actually my first one I put on the Windows Store. It's a big deal for me. Definitely a really, really big deal. So there it is. There's Skitter in all its glory. Yeah, I think I had another music app called Musician. I liked Musician, but then I got the Gibson, and I like how Gibson, I like their chorus, and I like their songs, and I like they give you style. So Musician, you have to play the songs they give you to advance. Musician, when you have to, and Gibson as well, but the Gibson app gives you genres. So you can pick a blues song, a rock song, a metal song, and it has different paths you can take. So you can go down rhythm guitar or lead guitar, and the course changes. And so I've really enjoyed the Gibson app, actually. So, yeah. Skitter was, I call it Skitter because, the spider exercises. Yeah, Skitter was probably very personal, the most personal one I've done that's out right now. I'm going to share the fourth one here in a second, which is not out, but it's in beta test with a lot of people. This is also a very personal one. So Skitter was very personal for me. And so obviously when it had, I think, a very welcome reception by other guitarists, other avid guitarists like me, where there's like, oh my God, this is, I've been needing this. Thank you. And that, that meant a lot. It's like, and I had people that saw it on YouTube, my other channel, and they went and bought it. They're like, I'm not doing the free trial. This is great. This price is great because I sell it for $14.99. And a lot of music apps there are music apps out there that have a higher monthly subscription than what it costs to buy my app outright, which is $14.99. And if you're on Apple, okay, I cannot figure out what's going on with Microsoft Store. I cannot create coupons in Microsoft Store, but I do have a link in the description. It's basically half off for Skitter, $7.99. You get it, you unlock the whole thing. No subscription. But yeah, get that feedback from people. They're just like, dude, like, I've been needing this, and you figure this out. And I think it kind of reaches back to things where I think what I do miss about studio life was when I built tools and then people showed genuine appreciation. And it wasn't that I built great software all the time. I made mistakes. I made bugs. But when I worked with people that knew how to communicate with me, like when they understood the problems I helped them solve, when they understood what it gave them, but they could communicate back with like, hey, this really helped out. Could I get this, this, and this? And this is why. That's awesome. You know, it's called collaboration, which I think is kind of falling apart. Now people just bitch all the time. Yeah, I do miss that. I do miss that. I remember one thing I wrote one time, and it was an API for building, if you know graphical interface APIs, Qt, the Python version, PyQt, which is, if you have ever built a GUI interface, PyQt, it has got an ungodly amount of boilerplate code. It takes so much work to build a little fucking window that says "Hello World." You know, it's like, good grief, this is painful. And I built a kind of abstraction for that. Allow people to build simple interfaces with simple code, because it did a lot of the boilerplate. And all the interfaces would generally look the same, have the same layout, but it helped people get GUIs for their little tools with less work. And I remember I was in the line of the cafeteria one time, and my friends were talking about, and they're like, they mentioned it. And some guy's like, you wrote Easy GUI? I'm like, yeah. And he bought my lunch. He was like, oh my God, like, I heard your name. Like, that's great. It solves all my problems. It's like, and he was like, that's perfect. The GUIs weren't big commercial applications, but he understood the time he saved. And he was like, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the work he did. And I haven't had that in a long time. And with Skitter, the feedback I got from people on Skitter, that was the first time in a long time I've had people show actual appreciation for the work. So it really felt good. Next thing here, let me cue it up here. Give me a second on this one. Getting back to the pain that is a subscription software. So as you guys know, I'm trying to fancy myself an avid photographer, even though I've not been able to get out and shoot much the past year. Like a lot of photographers, you know, we use Lightroom. And for a while, Lightroom and Photoshop was a cheap enough subscription, but they went to like Lightroom Web, and we're trying to force all your photos in the cloud. People are like, I don't want my photos in the cloud. And then the software got more bloated. Subscription prices started going up. And so a lot of us jump shipped over to Capture One, which at the time, Capture One was not subscription. Well, they did change. They do have a perpetual license you can get, but you buy a perpetual license, and that's it. You don't get like really updates. And then if you want it, like, I don't know, like you can still buy perpetual license, but it's kind of pricey. And their subscription is really expensive. And if you're not a professional photographer, like, it's really a hard price to bite off. So another thing that I was really kind of bummed out about for a long time was like photo editing apps. Now there's some free open source ones out there, but I really felt they were really just kind of they might feel insulted to hear me say this, but just kind of simple clones of Lightroom. All right, you have your strip, your library of all your photos, and then you have your exposure tools. You adjust the exposure, and then do some tweaks, and then you export them out to JPEG. It's like, okay. And some of them, honestly, the performance was kind of clunky on. They weren't great performers. So when I was really making progress on a lot of these mobile apps, I realized how fast I could work. As long as I had a design, right? Like, people were saying to me, oh, well, what's stopping me from doing what you do? I just go in AI and I type in a prompt to get a game. I was like, well, if you think that's what I did, go for it. It wasn't one prompt. I start every project with like instructions, thousands of lines of instructions I type out. And even then, after it does the initial build, there's still a lot of prompting, a lot of back and forth, a lot of testing, a lot of human testing that has to be done. But overall, like, I knew the design, I knew what I wanted to do. And I've built software enough so when the AI was screwing up, it couldn't fix its own bugs. I'd be like, okay, I think this is what's going on. I think you need to look here, like in the Skitter app. I was like, I think what happened when you're switching views, you're not flushing the cache, you're not resetting this and not resetting that. Maybe you should look there. And then AI is like, oh, you're right. I looked there, and that's exactly what the problem was. So it's because I have the experience. I know how to direct it, right? Like a manager. So I had another really big idea, and I kind of thought this idea is maybe going to be a little bit too much even for like using AI tools. But after I built what I did, I kind of got more confidence and more understanding like the process. So I was like, now I'm going to go actually start building full desktop applications. And so the beta, actually, I started the beta today. I've actually got testers testing for me, and switch over the screen and just kind of introduce for the first time to the world. Where's my transition button? Meet Healer, as in Australian healers, because I have a cattle dog, so I named it after my dog. This is my photo editor project. Significantly smaller right now than Lightroom by leaps and bounds. Right now I got open is from the last big photo road trip I took back in June 2023. So it's been a few years since I've really gotten out. So yeah, this is mine. I'm in beta for it right now. It's got all your standard exposure tools, right? Well, I try to do things a little bit different. Things like the contrast slider. Right, a lot of these editors, they always had contrast sliders. And I didn't really like contrast. When you boosted contrast, you're also boosting saturation. Right? When you make something darker, the darks will get more saturated. And it's like, I don't always want that, right? So I did things like I broke out contrast. So there's two contrasts. You have your chroma. Right? So you can go full like contrast with, you get deeper saturation, or you can just focus on the luminosity contrast. Or you can go just full saturation contrast, but no change in luminosity. Other things I did, typical highlights, shadows. This is all the same. If you use Lightroom, you know these quite well. Typical color, tint, saturation, vibrance. A lot of standard stuff. You see all these in other applications, basic levels. Do have curves. You can edit RGB independently, luminosity. Bring them up and down. I have a picker, so you can pick on the screen, and it drops in where you want the point to be. So other ones have that. They also, well, you won't really find this in Lightroom. DaVinci Resolve and Capture One, they had that, notion of color wheels. So if I turn on color wheels, right, you could adjust your shadow, mids, lows, all that. Split tone, now they do have this. Adjust the colors of your shadows, your highlights differently. I've always loved split toning my images. It was always a fun thing to do. I don't have a lot of highlights in this one, so it's not coming through very strong. Now, one thing I did do that they don't do, borrowing from color grading editors in visual effects, was the notion of color blending, to be able to push your colors towards a certain spectrum. I tell you what, and then you can affect the influence. So it's probably not the best example of this photo here. I wonder if I can find a better photo to actually demonstrate this with. Reset's acting up. I got to actually fix that. That's not right. Bug to note, my reset button on color bend is not working correctly. I can find some better pictures here. This is Utah. God, that was a good time. Best off-road driving ever. I can probably point out the Utah. So yeah, color bending tool. And then we have your typical texture clarity for controls. It's pretty standard. But what I did was I actually have an advanced mode. So you can go and you can edit texture, clarity, and dehaze at a granular level on shadows, midtones, highlights, even color channels. So I'm still kind of working this out with my beta testers. But this is to, as opposed to other tools that before, if you just did like clarity, it just hit the whole thing with clarity. All right. It's like, well, I don't want it to hit the whole image with clarity, right? I want to do targeted clarity. So talking with my testers and like, how can we like focus clarity on just certain channels, right? Midtones, shadows. It's probably not coming too well in the video. I think the multiplier might need tweaking. But you get an idea of what we've been what I've been working on heavily here. Certain spots, color bending. I think I know what you're talking about. Let me show you here in a second. So anyways, I got a few things. Sharpening. I've incorporated vivid and high pass sharpening. This is a method of sharpening that usually people have to export out of Lightroom and go into Photoshop. And you do some work with layers to do what's called sharpening on the vivid channel or the high pass channel. I've actually incorporated that into here. So you wouldn't have to export to Photoshop. You could actually use the vivid style or high pass sharpening in the app. Typical effects, grain. So you have various grain types you can work with. Grain amount, but you can also grain within the highlights, shadows, the color channels. So you have granular grain control. I think what you're talking about, Mars, is control. So you have adjustment layers, right? To be able to come up in here and add a layer. So like this is a range layer. So I'm going to actually say show mask. I want to affect just this. And then if I come down here, it kind of limits the fall off a little bit when that range. So I can kind of tighten up the range of this one. So I have, the other apps have something similar. These idea of adjustment layers. So this one does range. And then I have one that's your typical mask. So like an ellipse, right? So I can say exposure up. Now, what I did differently. Now, a lot of them do have this, but what they usually have, they just have ellipse or they have a rectangle. It may sound a little crazy, but I have found times when I'm doing editing where I need a non-standard shape. So in my app, you actually have different shapes like crescent, triangle, trapeze, even a cross, or even a semicircle. It may sound crazy, but there have been so many times where I was like, I wish like I want to do like a radial, but I don't want like a full sphere, right? And so when I think it was Apple Juice was saying like there were apps out there that didn't do what I wanted. This is exactly what I ran into. I was like, why can't I get a few more shapes to control my masking? So this for me is I think I have an original thing here. Linear. A lot of them do this already. You get kind of a linear fall off. And then I got to work on the control handles for this one a little more. yeah, it's not, the control handles are still a little glitchy on here. So that one needs to get worked on. There's a paint one, so you can paint in sections. Now, a lot of them don't have this. I'm bringing this up exposure, but then, right? Now, what I did, though, is I actually incorporated texturing. So if I switch this to, say, dry media, let's go use splatter. Right, so you get a little, you don't have to use the standard round brushes. Now, usually when you want to do like this kind of masking, I think you lamppost, thanks for stopping in. Typically, when you want to get really granular and detailed with your masking, in the past, you couldn't do this in Lightroom. You had to always export to Photoshop, and that's why they were selling Lightroom and Photoshop together. But it always kind of pissed me off because I would get into Photoshop and I realized I needed to tweak something, but I had to go back to Lightroom and maybe make that tweak and export it back out to Photoshop. It drove me nuts. I always wanted more control in my photo editing software. And then selection. So yeah, you can do selections. Now, if I just do like this, right? It does probably what you think it does. It selects in. Now I did something more with my selections here. Look down at the bottom. I have a selection history. So if I draw another selection, right, it adds to it. But if I want to go back and like, no, I want that to subtract or do an intersect. Basically, I'm keeping a history of my selections, and I can go back, I can add them later, I can reorder them, I can delete part of my selections. None of the others do this. This is unique to my app. Then I took it a step further. So when you want to do like layer editing, a lot of times, clone stamping, things like that, you had to export to Photoshop. And this is what drove me nuts. Even Capture One. Oh, got to export out if you want to do more stuff. It's like, so you had to export to Photoshop or Affinity Photo, which I like Affinity Photo. You know, I think it's a good program. But when you want to do like a little bit of photo cleanup, it kind of drove me nuts because I had to export out to like, say, Photoshop and use like 0.5% of its features just to clean up a photo. Right? It's like, God, really? So we're still testing this, but basically what I built in was a layer system. So like in Photoshop, you can create pixel layers. You can paint, right? You got a paint tool. We do have a clone stamp. We do have a healing brush. So switch it to just round, right? So I have like clone stamp tools, healing tools. So you can do your layer cleanups. And that's still in the application. You don't have to jump out to another application. One of my big inspirations was DaVinci Resolve. I love how DaVinci Resolve took the concept where you had to have different apps for one for audio and one for, you know, VFX and one for color and the old video editing pipeline. And DaVinci Resolve kind of put everything to one tool. And I was like, man, if I could get more into my photo editing tools. And that was a lot of the inspiration here. So I do not plan to have this as like a competitor to Photoshop. I will not have all the tools that are in Photoshop because honestly, most of the tools that are in Photoshop do not apply to photo editing. So I got basic layers. I have paint tools. I can do clipping masks. We can group layers. We have blending options, dodge and burn. So this is one of the things we're working on. Me, and my testers are really digging into. Old friends of mine who have been really wanting something optional. So we got this, and now even more past this. How am I taking it a step further? Now, one thing I loved in some of our visual effects tools was node editing, whether for shading networks. Or like a Nuke, doing visual effects in nodes. I love node workflows. I never liked the layer workflow. So I switch over to graph. Everything I was doing in layers under the hood is actually a node graph. So this is all, everything that you saw in layers is down here. So if you like to work in nodes, you can go in here, you can work in a node workflow. And so everything is represented here. My sharpen tools, exposure tools, tone profiles, all the edits that I did will come in here. Standard color. The other ones are not doing this. You can group these. So like the finishing that I was just in, this is actually a subgroup I can go into, drill into. And we even went kind of a step further. My goofy ideas, is I can go into a canvas view where I can look at the full picture and work on the node graph on top of the picture. So this is an interesting one. Some of my friends are actually testing right now. So this, you won't find this in Lightroom. There's a lot of features here, but Healer has been my big project. I just launched the website this week, healer.app, which is kind of just the placeholder website. I've got right now 20 some beta testers, 22. Another fun thing they asked about. So I'm going to go new collection. Whatever. I'm going to add this photo and this photo to these collections. All right. So I got this this collection here, right? Actually, I think my camera's in the way. Let me move my ugly face here. Okay, there it is. Whatever. Collection. So the other apps had a notion of collection. You know, wasn't really it's kind of a virtual folder, right? Not a real folder on a disk, just a collection of photos. What we did, let me see how I can demonstrate this one. I think I know how to do this. Some of them were asking for this. So I hit this little broadcast button right here. This is a fun feature, actually. I was having fun with this one. All right, so now what it's doing is serving up a web page. So let me go over here. Let me switch views. Give me just a second to do a swap here. It's a little bit tricky to do this real time in the stream. You know, I'm not a professional streamer. Give me a break. I think that will do it. Let me resize the window. And you'll be able to get the idea here. The guys are crazy about this one. They were really asking for this. All right. There it is. So what I'm doing is I'm serving up a web page directly from my app. So these are the photos right here that you saw in the collection. Now, what I can do too is if I take these photos, I'm going to adjustment. Okay, as I'm editing it real time, it's updating to the web server. So if I had a client or whatever, and I just want to give them an iPad, or they can sit in another room, you can just show them the web browser and update. And you can show them the catalog, then to look at your computer. Let's see if this is working. It should actually, let me double check this. Full view, yeah. So you can go to full view, right? And it's updating, it's getting a WebP. So I'm using WebP, converting to WebP real time, and pushing a WebP, updated WebP format, not JPEG, over the web to the server. So the collection is kind of like a project. We can store all the related images. Yeah, it's just a complete arbitrary collection of photos. But yeah, that's the name, collection. They don't have to be in the same folder, shot from the same camera. So that is Healer. That's the big one. This is the one I won't lie. I'm hoping really get some momentum here. We're looking at probably a few weeks of beta testing, then going live. So I got to get that part all kind of set up, the storefront. So you can imagine this is all taking a lot of time to build, develop, and roll out. But it's also really exciting. I think too, also I need something to kind of give me a sanity check. You know, days at work where you just kind of feel like you're getting gaslit, like someone's just kind of making you feel dumb. When the reality is that they're the ones screwing up. They're trying to drag everyone down. So a lot of this work for me has been like just a complete sanity check. Like, you know, I'm not saying I'm the smartest person, but am I really that dumb? Like, I'm pretty sure I can design systems still. I know how to architect. And Healer has been... I didn't have this idea overnight. So the ideal Healer I've had since 2010. But it started as the graph editor. So I showed you about the graph editing, the node graph editing. Me and some colleagues were out for lunch one day and we're talking about the Photoshop workflow, the layering. And I said, I hate the layer workflow. I like nodes. I think it's more natural for the way I think. But we're like, man, but there's no photo editors that do node workflows. So it'd be cool if you could have like a node editor, but it could also have like a layered view for for users that don't understand nodes. And I was like, oh shit. So I've had this idea since 2010. And over the years, I have tried to build it traditionally. I would start with trying to like hand program a prototype node network. And you might be surprised how much of a pain that is. Like the node, like all the connector lines, you drag the little connector out and you drop it, and you connect it to another thing. And I would get these really rough prototypes, but I would just lose my sanity building just one little aspect of what the UI was supposed to do. And that was just the UI, right? That had nothing to do with the image rendering. So there's a lot going on behind the scene. So when you open these images, like in Lightroom, there's a lot of caching that's going on. So when you're zooming into full screen, it's figuring out like what's viewable, and it's pre-rendering that as a JPEG to show you, and it's building out that cache. So you get all these subsection caches. So what I'm getting at is there is a shit ton more programming than just like, how do I build two nodes and build a little connector so I can drag out and connect the two together, right? That is such like a small part of the big picture. But because of that, for a long time, Healer's had different ideas for names. I'm right now naming my apps after some of my pets, because I have a blue healer mix. Where's it going? Yeah, so I tried to do this for years traditionally, and in between like working burnout jobs that were just because I would get pissed off at my job. I'm like, screw this. I'm going to build the photo app I always want to build. And then I spend like, a few weeks on it, a couple months trying to do some little isolated prototypes of the GUI. And I would just, the pressure on top of my day job and then family, just, I just give up. Right. And it was just exhausting. It's like, I can't do this on my own. And it's like, I'm not even at the rendering pipeline. Figure out how to handle the viewport rendering optimizations. That's a whole other bucket of work. And that's where AI agents have allowed me to. It's like, because I understand everything that had to be done. I just need to just write out what my expectations were, what the targets were, the goals. Thankfully, what you have, too, is you have a lot of technical white papers out there that have been published about the mathematics behind a lot of science behind a lot of this, and I'm able to like have AI help me reference that, so I don't have to like read these complex formulas and like, okay, I understand the math. How do I represent this in code? And I'm sure like Mars, you probably know what I'm talking about. Someone show you like this math formula in a white paper, like make this happen. Like, okay, like I know how that is as a math formula, like how to do that in paper, but represent that in code and efficient code, memory efficient code is entirely different, and there are different ways to actually solve a mathematical formula in code. So it was overwhelming for all these years, and I finally feel like now in the later part of my life, I've been unlocked to actually do this, and maybe hopefully this is the out from my job, but to finally see some of my dreams coming true. In fact, some of my testers were my friends that I had to lunch with back in 2010. When I got a hold of them a few months ago, actually it's about a month ago, when I had a proof of concept going, I was like, hey, I got something for you to test. I was like, do you remember when we had that lunch and I talked about this app, and like my friend Eric was like, he already knew where the conversation was going. He was like, dude, no way you did it. And I pull up this screen share. I'm like, check this out. And he was like just beside himself because he remembers the conversation. That was 16 years ago. And he goes, I've always remembered that conversation. I always thought it was a great idea. And he goes, I'm just so happy that you're actually doing it. So he was super excited to be a beta tester. I'm super excited to have him help. So, yeah, that's a lot of what's going on, guys, right? And obviously, I would rather focus on building this for a business, a brand, than being a professional streamer on YouTube. I know people are making a living doing it. All respect. Jesus, I couldn't do it. This platform pisses me off. And I don't think I'm really that good at it, right? I think some people are better at the presentation thing, at running shows. That's not me. I should focus on what I can do. And I think, honestly, what I believe in my heart I've always been good at is being an architect, designing tools, software, filling gaps where people have needed tools and features that that these big corporations weren't doing, because they're saying it's too hard. The fact is they just can't get their freaking shareholders to agree with it, because the shareholders don't understand what they're investing in. So I feel if I can go out with a bang in my final years of my life, let it be this, right? Let it be me showing everyone what's possible. That maybe my ideas weren't that crazy. They were doable, because I had people, when I told people about my photo editor idea, I was like, yeah, it's going to be a node graph, but it can still lay out in layers like a regular photo editor. And I've had people say, nope, can't do it. That's impossible. I'm like, why? They'd say, because. I'm like, okay, then you don't understand UI architecture. And I think it's my final FU to a lot of people. Yeah, I gave those corporations too many ideas. Exactly, Mars. Dude, I've thrown away so many ideas. Not thrown away, like I've actually built things that have been shelved because one person didn't understand it. And they weren't even the end user. I've absolutely killed myself on some software. And then my friends still talk about this day. There's like it's one of the best tools they've ever used. And what happens is, when you work in a place where you build a lot of proprietary software, and I wasn't the only case of this, right? And the sole architect leaves or gets fired or whatever, they have to shelf the software because no one can maintain it. Then they bring in someone else and they have them redo the same work over and over again. And I felt for a long time, I was really kind of bitter. I felt for a long time that some of the best programming work I did is now sitting collecting virtual dust, forgotten about. All the brainstorming I did on the architecture, the back end of everything, I was so proud of. And then it's like, and someone else owns it, and I can never show it to the world or talk openly about it, right? I feel I gave them the best, gave them 100-hour weeks, to the point where I landed myself in the emergency room at Kaiser Permanente hooked up to an EKG at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday night, or actually it was a Monday morning, having a doctor sit next to my bed saying, listen, I get it. Like, everyone's got their passion, but you have to ask yourself someday, are screen credits worth it? And I guess maybe if I would have said yes if I felt I got acknowledgement for my work, some sense of ownership. But at the end of the day, all that work I didn't own it. Can't even talk about so much of it, right? Because it's like, oh, it's our IP. I was like, wait, no one's using it. Is it really your intellectual property? You're not doing anything with it. You're just letting the code die in your, in your database with everything else. I'm not the only one. And I think that's what burned me out from programming. I gave it my all. Oh, dude, Avid. Here's the thing. You gave Avid ideas, and I guarantee I've given Avid my peace of mind. I know Avid is like kind of considered the staple for a lot of editors. How do I say it? Those guys are assholes. I've had it out with Avid a number of times. It always felt like a application because it was so widely used. I'm like, I know they're getting tons of feedback. Why do I get the feeling that they're like, you get an update with like 2 features in it that no one freaking asked for? Like, dude, what is this shit? Don't get me started. That's actually, Avid, honestly, is one of the big reasons I left the industry, to be completely honest. I did not want to support another Avid pipeline. I got so tired. Like, my last studio I worked at, Cuckoo Studios, for the animated Netflix show In Your Dreams. Came out last winter. That's what I got to go to Skywalker Ranch for the screening. That's the last time I got to go to Skywalker Ranch, first time in years. It was the last animated film I worked on. I honestly I burned out on going to studios and been like, well, our editorial's Avid. I'm like, the AAF file. It's such a miserable pain in the ass to work with. And it's like, you get jaded after a while. It's like, I can't deal with it because I just felt the same thing with Maya. All right. I was, a published author for Maya, for Mel Scripting. A lot of people consider me kind of a Maya guru. I got sick of being pulled in every production. It was always the same fucking problems with Maya over and over again. I got tired of it. And same with the Avid. Like, I'm tired of solving the same damn problems with the same corporate built stubborn ass software. I'm so burned out. I can't do this anymore. Oh, Cubase. Yeah, I have Cubase. It's powerful, but man, I want to bitch slap that UI into, like, I'm a paying customer Cubase. It's a strong tool, but holy shit, do something with that UI, please. That's the same thing. Avid felt like a 1996 GeoCities website that no one's updated the UI ever since. And I had to say Cubase kind of falls into that. It's infuriating. I mean, oh man. Absolutely infuriating. So yeah, I don't miss those applications, but I really enjoy building my own. And yeah, like the Skitter, people getting home about Skitter, like, dude, this software's been great, thank you. And that's felt good again. Granted, I haven't sold 1 million copies, can't quit my job, but I get some satisfaction out of it. Yeah, it sort of reminds me, like, okay, I have some skills that some people value out there, and that's been fun. And I'm getting super excited to get Skitter out there. I know there'll be a bumpy road of, like, bug reports or people confused, like, the workflow, because it is different. It's not like all photo editors, but a lot of my friends are really excited because they're like, one of my friends used to work at Adobe a long time ago, and he's like, these were like the contrast slider thing I did, the 2 different contrasts for Luma and Chroma. He goes, I asked about this years ago, and I told them they couldn't be done or they weren't going to do it. There's no interest in it. I'm like, he goes, see, you actually did it. He goes, I nearly cried. So there's a sense of excitement that I'm feeling right now of getting this software out there. And I have one more big idea. I don't know if I'm going to do it, to be honest. I'll see how Healer goes. Because that other one might be a little bit too big. As far as my patience level. But I do have some of the other iOS games I'm working on, real puzzle games, having fun with that. So, but yeah, obviously that has nothing to do. I'm not going to sit here on a live stream and work Granted, I think people might find that interesting, but when I'm working, even though I'm using like agentic coding, it is work. Like I'm focused, I'm taking notes. I file tickets in my, like, all bug tickets. Like when I run across all the bugs in the software, I create bug tickets in my tracker. And I give the tickets to agents. I fill out the details and I have the agents solve the bugs. So I do treat it like kind of contractors, employees. But I'm finally building products again. So yeah, I just thought I'd take some time tonight. I've been meaning to do this and just kind of share with some of you all have been hanging around and wondering where the hell I'm at, other than doing these random game streams that, like, why are you playing Half-Life? It's like, I don't know. I don't want to think. I just want to just shoot and have fun. But I really want to kind of share what's been going on. Other than just popping in and saying work's pissing me off, because I think everyone can relate to that. But to show how I channel my energy, my frustration. So yeah, you can imagine Skitter. It's a pretty big project. Not Skitter, but Healer's a pretty big project, but they really pissed me off. So to the point where, like, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to build my photo editor app. This is my one life. I'm going to do it. So yeah, I mean, I pop into people's. I do catch a lot of people's streams. I don't have time to chat because, like, I'm on this is my work setup right here. This is my company computer, and these are the monitors on it. So I'm usually working like this, and then I have my home computer right here that I'm talking to you all on. And so I do listen to a lot of people's streams, but to be honest, like, yeah, when you see me chime in, that's just like, that's literally me just turning 90 degrees, typing something in the chat, like sending a little message of, support, and then I turn back around and go back to my work. And that's been a lot of my life, Mars. And then if I get opportunity, I try to pick up all the guitars and play some licks, and I think I'm really good at maintaining my guitars. I'm just not great at playing them. I have perfect intonation on my guitars. I do all my own work. But I've been meaning to actually just kind of sit down and give everyone a catch up. What's going on? Yeah, probably no more tutorial videos. That was kind of frustrating to put all that work into writing the tutorials just to have a false flag. And the chances that might happen again are pretty low. But I went through that on my other channel. I think I talked about that before in other videos. I had that nature channel of animals grazing Yellowstone and waterfalls, and I was getting strikes on that and I beat every one, but I'm like, how the fuck does a waterfall video get taken down for hate content? I mean, how fucked up does your AI bot have to be to misflag something? Seriously, blows my mind. It's infuriating. So, but I'll say it again. YouTube is the least shitty of video platforms. I know people say Rumble, there's more freedom, but I just think Rumble is just not a great user experience, in my honest opinion. So, yeah, like I said, guys, no plans. You'll probably see me do more random game streams, but I like to pop in and kind of share the progress of the apps. That's something I'm very proud of. And yeah, seeing them grow into something, see my ideas grow into something people are actually using is really exciting, and it feels good again. It's been a long time, but it has been how long now? Over an hour and a half. So yeah, Rumble. I want to like Rumble more, but I don't. So, well, it's been an hour and a half. I am gonna go take the dogs out for a little bit. So, hope you all enjoyed the stream, the updates, what I shared. Rumble needs to update their freaking UI. Remember, we were just complaining about UIs and Avid and Cubase. I think, like, I feel like Rumble was designed by like some ex-UX designer for Avid. The guy got laid off, didn't learn anything new, and went to work for Rumble and built shitty fucking web UIs. That's awful. But it's been fun sharing. Like I said, so those of you who are using, like, iPhone, I left some links in the description so you can get a coupon, discounts on the apps. The games are 100% off. But either way, it's good to actually catch up with all of you, kind of share what's been going on, just give you some insight, where I've been, what's going on, and good chatting with some of you all again. And hopefully maybe catch you all again next time. All right. Good night, everyone. Bye.